Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamika and this is Check the Rhymes. I am super excited that you're here. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I am super excited about today's show because this woman has worked with people like LL Cool J, Maya, DMX, Jay-Z, the list goes on, and of course her ex-husband, Swizz Beatz. In the house, I have Mashonda. She is here to talk about her new project. It's an EP called Note to Self. And we're also going to talk about her art curation because everybody needs a little art in their life, right? So stay tuned. You definitely don't want to miss today's show. Hi, Mashonda. Welcome to Check the Rhymes. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I am super excited. I swear, I feel like a stalker because I've been looking through all of your stuff, your art, music, and then I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube and I'm like, I really love your music.
Thank you.
So let's start with the art world because I did not realize how immersed into art that you are. Can you explain how you got into just curating art and what kind of prompted you to follow that passion?
I started collecting art when I was really young in 1998, around that time when I first started making money in the music industry. But I grew up around art. I grew up in Harlem, so there was art everywhere. As soon as I stepped outside, I had family members that collected art and that painted as well. So art was always a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And in 2016, I started my own company, Art LeadHer, which is dedicated to women artists and creating platforms for them. So ever since then, I've been showing artists from all over the world. I've showed probably up to over 250 artists.
Wow.
At this point, and I curate shows and do exhibitions and partner with galleries and museums. So it's been really great.
How do you find the artists that you want to showcase? Because like you said, there's so many amazing artists. I feel like my talent at the sip and paint things are always a little untapped, but for real, for the artists that are, there's artists that are watching and they're like, I want to take part. How would they do that?
They can go to the Instagram page, which is Art LeadHer. And I usually find most of the artists I work with on Instagram. I contact them directly. I check out their work on their page. I go to their website. So it's important for artists to have really up-to-date art websites, and not only personal websites, but a page dedicated to their art. And then use hashtags, because I usually just search Black artists, women artists, and that's how I find most of the artists that I work with.
That's a good point, because I think sometimes people don't realize the power of a hashtag. They just throw their stuff up there and just wait and see if somebody will notice.
That's very important.
So speaking of social media, I saw that you went viral on TikTok. What was that like? Or on the TikTok as the old folks call it.
Right? The TikTok. It was wild because I have a 15-year-old son and he literally knocked on my door one day and he was like, Ma, you're viral on TikTok. And I was like, what does that mean? He sent me the link and I was like, oh my God, this is a record that I recorded in 2005 or 4. And it was just a freestyle that I was like, I liked the beat. It was a Busta Rhymes record, Busta and Mariah Carey. And I just got in the studio, recorded a freestyle, threw it out. It was on plenty of mixtapes back in the day. But then to see it reinvent itself,
right,
and millions of people from around the world singing this song, it was beautiful. It actually really pushed me to finish up my music project. I was like, okay, there's purpose for me. I have a voice. The world has heard my voice. They're singing my lyrics. It's time to take this seriously again. So it really pushed me to finish up this EP.
Well, speaking of the EP, because I'm ready for it now. After I went down the rabbit hole, I'm like, okay, I need the rest.
Yes,
When it's called Note to Self,
yes.
When will it be out?
So the drop date is October 14th.
Okay.
I'm super excited to share it with the world. I've been working on this EP for 3 years and I've created probably over over 12 records, but I've only chosen 5. It's a story, you know, from beginning to end. There are 3 interludes that kind of like piece everything together. And Note to Self is really just about, it's about all those things that we wish we would have told ourselves earlier if we had the information. So it's a journal, you know, it's a journal. It's a documentation of the encounters I've had with love and romance, also my own healing journey. So I hope that, you know, the world receives it in a way where they can learn from it and heal from it as well.
So I watched your video, Positive Distraction, and for me watching it, and maybe it's in the space where I am, and I don't even know, just my interpretation, and I don't even know if this is what you were going for, but it just made me kind of focus on like self-love a little bit. Is that what you were going for? Just watching the video and the visuals, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this.
I'm glad that you felt that way, because I didn't want too much to happen in that video. I really wanted it to be a moment of self-reflection for me, in hopes that other people can watch it and realize that that's also them in their bed when they wake up or right before they go to sleep, and having the same thoughts, like just beautiful thoughts, you know, about someone or even about themselves. So Positive Distraction it's what we aim for, you know? I want to meet people that are positive distractions, the madness that goes on in my head sometimes, you know. I want to be my own positive distraction. So yeah, every song, every lyric, it's definitely meant to be uplifting.
I also thought, like, gosh, I don't look that like sexy like this when I'm laying on my bed. Like, I was like, look at,
I'm sure
I need to practice.
It's all about angles.
I'd probably roll off the bed trying to.
Girl, no.
So Forbidden Fruit, I heard the interview you did on Sway's morning show.
Oh man,
the one line he kept repeating had me cracking up.
Of course. Men, right?
Right. I was like, that's all he heard. That's all he heard.
Course, the whole song. But I get it. You know, it was done intentionally to make people, oh, really? Wow. You know? So
yeah. I don't want to misquote the lyric. So can you tell everybody what lyric that it is exactly? Because I'll have it all tore up.
I said taste like honey and water. Yeah. So, you know, there's a way to absolutely accomplish that. You know, women women ask all the time. I do drink alkaline water, like really good, pure water. It's just a clean diet, you know, a lot of fruits, not a lot of meat.
Yeah.
You know, and just, honey
and water.
Yeah.
Y'all hear that, ladies? Because you want these men out here saying that you taste like honey and water.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. So if there is anything that you could tell your younger self that you weren't able to include on this EP, let's say, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, man. I would tell her to focus on her dreams more.
Yeah.
I mean, at 18, I was really focused. I got my first publishing deal when I was 19. So I was already like out there networking, trying to figure out how I can write music professionally, you know. But I feel like growing up in Harlem, growing up in New York, there are always so many distractions. You've got the nightlife, you've got the men, you know, you've got girlfriends that just want to go out and get into things. And I was a part of some of that stuff, but I do feel like if I was focused, you know, things would have probably been different, but I don't regret anything. It's like you have to live your life and do things and be a little reckless and have fun in order to figure out, you know, in order to be able to say, I don't want to do that anymore. Right?
True. Yes.
So I don't regret anything. And I do feel like on this EP, I have pretty much been able to express different parts of my life in a very positive way, even though, you know, some of it does explore emotional health and mental health and challenges, but it's done in a really graceful, beautiful way. So I hope that everybody can take away from that.
I really am looking forward to it. And because your pen game is so strong, it's so strong. It's like got a superpower behind it or something.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to throw out a couple names and like, you tell me your experience, either, you know, writing the song for them or working with them. Just because I want people to kind of see another side of like, maybe, sometimes I feel like people forget the songwriter. I do. Absolutely. I really do.
Before you drop those names, I do want to shout out my team, We the Millennials, and Lanisha Nelson, who is an incredible artist herself. She mixes, produces, vocal produces. She co-writes with me. She's a powerhouse. So I just want to make sure I drop that in there because the team makes up of two people, two incredible musicians, and without them, this sound wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have come to life the way I always heard it in my head.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you to the Millennials.
Yes, I love that. So I'm just curious, and just because he's been on my mind a lot, DMX.
Yeah. X was just special. I never walked away from any experience with him feeling like that's a normal human being. You know, he was a prophet. He was an expressionist, like deeply expressionist. Like he not only expressed himself through his voice, but being next to him and feeling his energy, it was just always very rich. You always left feeling like you learned something about life, about God. And he shared in that way every time, you know, before sessions, we would pray. During sessions, he would just bust out in a prayer. So working with him, you know, I had been in his presence for a couple years before they were like, Mashonda, we want you to do this record. So I was excited. I remember the day I had a cold, my throat was sore, and I pushed through. I was like, you're going to push through.
Right.
So even when I go back and listen to the song, I sound nasally, like I can hear it, but I was like, we're going to push through this.
We couldn't even tell. Like
exactly. It's always, you know, but no, that will always be a special encounter.
I have to know about LL Cool J.
So I was a whole married woman at the time. And we were working on, I think that song was on a soundtrack. First, we did a soundtrack record with him for a movie. Then we went in and we asked him to jump on a feature for Ghetto Love, which is my record that Swiss put on his compilation album with DreamWorks at the time. And LL is just LL, you know, it's like we grew up on LL. I remember being in like 8th or 9th grade and Round the Way Girl came out. So it's just like being next to him in a space where you're creating with him. It's like, wow, it's LL.
Right. You know? Does he really lick his lips a lot? I'm random questions.
And there are these big juicy lips and you're just like, damn. And he's beautiful. Like, you know, you can see that he takes care of himself.
Yeah.
He's beautiful. He has aged beautifully. I give that to his wife because, you know, he's got a good wife. Aged beautifully.
Yeah.
So, that was another like experience. Childhood dream come true.
Yeah. What about, let's see, I'm trying to read my own notes. I think that says Maya. I just feel so messy.
Maya was a great experience too, because like I said, growing up with these artists, when you get in the room with them, you're like, damn, that's really her. And you get to create. So Best of Me, Swiss got called in to work with her on some tracks and he needed writers. So he brought me in. We also had Jimmy Cozier come in as a co-writer. Teron Beal. So the four of us, Maya, myself, and those two we sat there for like 3 days writing this song and figured out the arrangement. And then I got on the background vocals. You can hear my background vocals in the chorus. And it was exciting. You know, we were all so young at the time, and the music industry was different. It was fun. And people would just sit around in these writing sessions and just make it happen. And then the record came out, it blew up, Jada Kiss on it. And then, was it Trackmasters? Yeah, Trackmasters took it, remade it, put Jay-Z on it. So it was just like the record that kept on giving. So
right, yeah. Since you mentioned that, I know we're running out of time, but what do you think is missing in today's music or the industry that, like, you know, how you just mentioned, like before, it was a whole different time. And it seems like back then, I can't even describe it, but that's like one of my favorite like music eras.
It was amazing. The early 2000s, I'd say 99 to about 2006. Powerful time in the music industry. Yeah. Everything was so organic. You know, we took our time with records. We sat down as groups and penned records. We took our time with recording. And then we had strategy, you know, there was a whole strategy behind releasing. Now I feel like people are just throwing stuff out with no real strategy, and the records don't live as long. So it was an art form back then. Now it's just like, oh, got a record, throw it out. It's New Music Friday, here it is. And then it disappears in a week, you know? Yeah. So I don't come from that era. And for me, I want to take my time with every song that I create. And also take my time with how I want to present it, you know, down to like the album cover or the EP cover, and make sure it's art and it's translating what I want it to, because it's going to live forever.
I like that so much, because I heard you mention you took your time with this EP. So I love that. I cannot wait for the EP to come out. Note to self. And my last question, what is next for you besides the EP coming out?
So I am working on a few projects for Art Basel, which is a big art convention that takes place in Miami every December. So I'll be partnering up with BT, doing some more projects, introducing more Black artists. And I'm also working on a book. I'm working on book number 2, which is a coming of age. It's fictionalized pretty much of my life from the late 70s up until the early 2000s. So it's exciting. It takes place in Harlem. It takes place in New York. It covers that whole culture and timeline. So it's really exciting. And I can totally see it being on TV. It's definitely a show. So,
I can't wait. I love reading, so I cannot wait to read this.
Characters are dynamic. That's honestly what's been taking the longest, is developing characters. Yeah. But they're so special. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, I can't wait. You'll have to come back when the book drops, because I cannot wait to read it. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mashonda, for joining me today on Check the Rhymes. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.